how yelling and screaming gets the job done faster. The topic for today's vlog is something that it bothers me right now. So I'm gonna share that with you, and I'm gonna show you how I'm overcoming it. So of course, yelling and complaining and whining and so on gets the job done faster, right? Well, not if you do it towards other people. It seldom helps. Mostly it builds resentment, especially in the business world. But what helps me is venting frustrations. And that helps me sometimes to deal with things really, really quickly. And how am I doing that? I usually do it in a private setting, a closed room, or in the car, or wherever you feel comfortable doing it, because in the car other people obviously sometimes can see you and you shouldn't do it maybe on the red light. But if you go in a closed room, you can complain and yell and stomp the ground and get all of that frustration out of your system. Walk it off, shake it off, dance it off. Dancing helps actually as well. And then you feel calmer and you can return to the situation and the judgment is not so clouded. Because usually what happens is when you are very, very frustrated, first of all, I learned a very important rule. You do not send an email or you do not call somebody if you are in that state, other than if it's a very good colleague, buddy, or whatever, where you can vent your frustration without repercussions or judgment. But there are very few people usually in your environment where you can do that. And it helps if you get it out of your system, because then you can deal with it and your brain is not fogged out. There is I don't know if you know it, but at least for me it's that way. If I'm getting really worked up about something, I'm thinking about that situation all the time. If I'm trying to do something different, my brain goes back to that situation and replays it, and it's hindering not only my judgment, but it's also hindering my concentration on every other thing. So I have to deal with it. And that's how I basically deal with it. I go out, I either work it off, some sports is good as well if you have the time, but sometimes in the office setting you don't have the time. But the thing that works best for me is I go in a private setting and I yell, and sometimes I scream and I jump up and down. And yeah, you might think you look like a fool at that point. Yeah. And at that particular moment, you probably do, but it helps tremendously. It gets the frustration out of my system, and I can just deal with things in the right state of mind and can concentrate again. And I think in any business environment, when there is stress and pressure, then sometimes there is the last person, that last drop that basically gets the bucket to overflow is seldom the thing that is causing your frustration. It's just that poor person is just the messenger, and you shouldn't do something that harms that person emotionally and for sure not physically. So it's better to deal with your frustration in a private matter. I don't know if you have any other things how you deal with it. That's how I deal with it, and that's what helps me. But on the other hand, I also know that when there is this status of that there's frustration and there's friction in a team and in a company, it's a good state to be in. And of course, it shouldn't always be like that. But when you go through the change cycle, when you do a lot of changes and a lot of rapid changes, and there is turmoil in the team and shifting responsibilities and everything, of course, things get forgotten. That causes friction. But that friction is good because it shows you exactly where the issue is. And then you just have to pause, make sure you fix that issue. And from that point onward, that will disappear and the stress level will demount again. So it's good to have it. But on the other hand, you have to learn how to deal with it and how to live with it. And this is how I live with it. I hope that helped you and you find your way on how to deal with things that are frustrating you and that you do not do anything in that frustrated state, but try to calm down, whatever works for you. If it's dancing off, I know people that actually do that and they don't openly admit it, but it works for them. They put on good music, they sing and they dance, and like you can really shift your mood and you can really refocus on the things that matter. So that was today's vlog, really inspired by a very, very actual thing, because I thought about what am I gonna talk about today, and I was like in that frustrated state actually because of things that that happened this week. And so I thought, why not take that and let everybody be part of it and learn something for you on how to deal with that frustration. See you on the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye.